guys, welcome back to another episode of the Big Apple School Podcast, where the object of this show is to improve your English through listening. My name is Benjamin, I'm from London, and today we have three guests. Our first guest today is
Natalya,
Katya,
and Ugur. Today we're going to talk about learning languages through watching films and TV. So before we had a podcast episode about learning languages, well, we are of course a language school, so hopefully we know a few things about about this subject. We kind of want to recap about what was discussed in the previous podcast. I mean, let's come back to the basics. How do we learn a language to a high level? And do you need to learn a language to a high level, or do you need to only learn a language to a certain level? What do you want to get out of your language learning experience, and how to reach your goals? So let's say if you want to learn a language to a really high level, how would you go about it? You guys speak amazing English. How would you? How? No, seriously. How did you get to that level? I mean,
practice.
Yeah, and when we talk about practice, how much of that practice is active or passive? How much of that practice is hitting the textbooks, and how much of it is just casually watching TV?
Okay, I think I'll speak for both of us, for Natalie and I, because we are not a good example because we studied at a faculty of foreign languages, which means that it is 10 to 12 hours of a language every single day.
I didn't realize it was that much.
Yeah,
because all of the subjects are in English or in French in Natalie's case as well.
English and French.
English and French. For me, it was only English. So we had, for example, my transcript says that we had more than 1,200 hours of practice of oral and written speech, about 700 hours of grammar, 600 hours of phonetics, and then all the subjects like lexicology, phonology, syntax, and everything. So that was a lot of theory and hell of a lot of textbook work.
So you were fully immersed in your target languages. Okay, so a lot of our listeners, of course, don't have the time to just immerse themselves fully in the English language. How could we advise our listeners? What steps could they take to really speak English to a, let's say, a B2 or C1 level?
Well, I think that it's the same rule. The more exposure you have to a language, the better it is.
Yeah. And let's just say you are a computer programmer and you work about, 8 hours a day. How do we get English into your daily life? What could they do?
Maybe they can contact with their colleagues around the world, and they can brainstorm about the things that they are doing daily.
So every day there needs to be English. You can't just only come to school and expect to have...
Absolutely. And I mean, nowadays we live in this fantastic age of technology, so you can actually surround yourself with your target language.
Yep.
Listen to podcasts. Even if you think you don't understand much, your brain still works. So you might remember, the words and the phrases from the podcast later on. So podcasts, books, Instagram, TikTok. I mean, you have no idea how many words in Spanish I learned thanks to TikTok. Really, a lot.
Yeah. And with some students, I actually get a calculator and I show them how many hours a 5-year-old has, because a 5-year-old speaks their native language pretty fluently. They can make complex sentences in their native language. A 5-year-old has around 11,000 to 12,000 hours with their native language. So, and only then can they just make a complicated sentence. Whereas if you only come to lessons for, 1 or 2 hours a week, well, how many weeks are there in a year? 52. So let's say you come to school 1 hour a week. That's going to be 52 hours a year, and you're not going to see results if you only rely on education. So when you come to school here, think of it as like protein powder for your like if you go
I love the
you're going to the work to the gym, and here we're going to supercharge your language learning experience, but you need to have external exposure to the language, i.e. you need to be listening to a podcast at least 2 hours a day. Maybe you don't need to be around the language for 12,000, 11,000 hours, but maybe to get to a C1 level, how many hours do you think roughly you would need? Like 4,000 hours?
I think it's impossible to say because
Yeah.
we are
It
all
depends.
different. We have
It
different way
depends,
to
yeah,
receive information.
Yeah.
Different, different everything, different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for some people it's much easier, to understand it. I don't know, like to listen to things more. Yeah, for some people it's easier to understand visual information.
Yeah.
So they are better at reading, at writing. I don't know, but for some people it's much easier to just pick it up
Yeah.
just like that.
It is true. You do have
Intonations.
some 5-year-olds who are more talented speakers than others, and you do have some 5-year-olds who can't even speak properly in their own native
Exactly.
language.
Exactly.
So yeah. Or tell us about how you became essentially a native English speaker.
Actually, I started my kindergarten in an American kindergarten.
Yeah.
All of my teachers were American.
Yeah.
And after that, it just went like that for my primary, secondary, and high school too, plus university. So I was also surrounded with the native speakers. All our teachers were native speakers.
Yeah.
So we couldn't speak Turkish. So that was the biggest advantage, I guess. That I established a level of communication
Yeah.
with them. Yeah.
So all three of you just had complete immersion in English, and you could not escape it, and you were forced to. Yeah.
Had no choice.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I watched an interesting documentary on YouTube about the French Foreign Legion. Do you know much about the French Foreign Legion?
Probably
The
not.
Legionnaire. They're the
I heard something, but like
because they take foreigners from many different
yeah,
countries
yeah, yeah.
and they force them to speak French, and they have
Yeah.
no choice but to speak French, and they all end up speaking
it's a
amazing.
French culture. They love the language. They always kind of promote it everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got a question though. How did you learn Russian? You
Well, no,
speak
I wouldn't-
such good Russian.
Well,
though.
thank you. It's still far from
It's emergent
perfect.
too, I think.
It's
Yeah. 'Cause
exactly.
you live in Russia.
Exactly. I
obviously.
can't. Well, the thing is, obviously, I'm here at the school for a few hours a day. And sometimes I need to force myself outside of school to immerse myself. So yeah, I make sure that I watch a lot of Russian TV.
But wait, you came here 1.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I remember speaking to you in Russian. So
Yeah.
Oh, seriously?
obviously you haven't picked it up here.
Well, no. My Russian when I got here was quite elementary, to be honest. My Russian.
Oh, somebody's fishing for compliments here.
No, seriously though, I had problems. I did have a lot of problems. Like just going to the
Okay,
supermarket.
from the point when it started to the point where you are now, what was your journey?
Well, obviously I studied Russian. Not obviously, I studied Russian at university from scratch. From scratch for our listeners means the very beginning, and there I also studied Italian. And to be honest, I wish that I had only studied Russian because it kind of distracted me a lot. And then we had a lot of modules in English, which so I did not speak I didn't speak amazing Russian after I left university. Then I left, I completely forgot about Russian for about 6 years. And then I came here and I had like a really basic A2 kind of level of Russian. And well, seriously, it was A2 because I had trouble doing basic things. I mean, of course, I knew how to say hello and I knew how to say a couple of complex sentences, but really, I just forced myself to watch Russian every single day. I have at least 3 to 5 hours of Russian in my daily life. Well, of course, I have a Russian girlfriend, which definitely helps as well, and we speak all the time. But yeah, there is no excuse. You have to dive into it. And I would say I would need like another 3 years until it gets really good. That's my time scale. So I'm giving myself, let's say, 5 years to go from A2 to C1. I would say I'm somewhere like in the B's right now, and I want to like really take it to the C level, and that takes a long. It's kind of like wine. It takes a long time to mature.
So language and wine.
Yeah, exactly. It takes a long time. You have to leave it in the barrel for a while, but you can't take it out of the barrel because if you take it out of the barrel, you're just going to forget a lot.
Like, was it hard to make yourself speak? Because when I went to China, and I spoke some Chinese, but I couldn't, just say anything.
Yeah.
I couldn't force myself.
It's scary, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They won't understand, like they will think I'm stupid, like
Yeah.
a foreigner, who
Yeah.
just
You know
Didn't
what
wish
I've
to
noticed though is that this is the thought and the mentality we have over here in Russia. Just because I've been teaching in the US and I have noticed that American students are not afraid to speak very often. They're not afraid of making a mistake
Yeah.
because we here in Russia, while we are studying at school, we hear all the time from our teachers, like, that's a mistake, that's a mistake.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
instead of
Oh,
like
yeah.
a great mark, you have a good one or a satisfactory one. So, and this is how we develop this fear of making a
Yeah.
mistake. But I look at my students who are Americans, they're not afraid of anything. And this is goals,
Yeah.
really.
Confidence is a huge, well, at the like the bedrock of the very foundation of learning languages is motivation. And then
like why?
Yeah,
why? Do
why?
you need it?
exactly, why do you want it? You just really, really, really want to do it. I mean, everyone has their own motivation. Have a bizarre fascination with Russian, which just keeps me going. But other people want to learn English for work or something. But this motivation is what gets you through the scary part.
Yeah.
Because it is scary,
Yeah,
like you
definitely.
said, in China.
Yeah.
And
The tones, like, and I think they still have, this prejudice against foreigners.
yeah,
Okay, they can't speak good Chinese, and it really presses you down,
yeah. hmm
So,
Yeah, it also depends on the language because there are less foreigners who, when I say foreigners, people who did not grow up in the Soviet Union who speak Russian. So it's more impressive to Russians, so
Yeah.
you have that contrast. So I'm kind of lucky in that sense that, there are not too many English people here who try to learn Russian. But
yeah, actually, I'm amazed by all these people from, like neighboring countries, like
Yeah.
Azerbaijan,
Yeah.
Uzbekistan. So they actually learn English by themselves,
Yeah.
without teachers, without anything.
yeah,
So it's like, wow.
yeah,
And they can speak, some Russian, yeah? So,
Mhm.
yes, English? Russian.
yeah. So Russian, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because I guess they only use the TV
Yeah, yeah.
basically.
Or maybe not even that, just, because they immersed again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so so confidence is a huge thing. I mean, you never have any memories of having to speak English and being scared, or not really? Because I guess you learn English from a really young
Oh,
age.
Yeah, I don't have a kind of fear
yeah,
or no stress.
yeah. Well,
No,
for
that
our
was all okay.
for our listeners, it's okay to make mistakes.
Of course.
Of course.
Mhm.
Of course.
Definitely.
You can't be scared of
This is a
making
part
mistakes.
of the language. That's how
Yeah.
you learn.
You're gonna make mistakes. Like
Yeah.
I remember I had a speaking club last year, and I mixed up what was it? It was расходы with отходы, and it was like really funny. And then I also made a mistake with the famous verb to писать.
That's
And I
a
made-
common mistake.
Yeah,
yeah.
And it was really funny when it was just a basic mistake, like present simple. I write. I guess you guys can
Yeah,
guess
we had
that.
the same when we were,
Yeah.
teenagers, so like
Yeah.
elementary school students.
Mhm.
Like, oh, that's so funny. It sounds so funny.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
what I've noticed is that whenever you make a mistake and you kind of feel embarrassed about that, that's going to stick.
It's
Oh,
It's going to
exactly.
stick for
Yeah.
life.
Exactly. You will remember that
Yes.
forever. Exactly.
So yeah, use that as an opportunity, But mistakes are totally fine.
yeah.
But when you succeed finally, when you can actually say something, so it also sticks. Like, for instance, I still remember when I went to supermarket in China again. So, and I asked for water. So I wanted to find some water
Yeah.
in the supermarket. And I came to the manager and I was like, so can you tell me where the water is? And she understood me. And it was like such like feeling of success,
Yeah,
I
back of
still
the net.
Moments of
remember it.
victory,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Although there are moments, when you are at a really high level already, and then you face a person who speaks an accent you're not familiar with, and that's it. This is the moment you are teleported back to your first class, having forgotten
basics.
everything
Definitely.
you've ever
Yeah.
learned.
And also, like I said at the start, some people don't need to learn a language to C1 level. I mean, some people like us, we want to, you guys already have a really high level, extremely high level of English. Some people don't even need to get to that level. You might,
Yeah.
you don't need
Definitely.
to like be really upset with yourself if you're at a B1 level, for instance. It's okay. I mean, with B1, you can still communicate in a very...
People have different goals and priorities again.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And do you know of any famous Russian celebrities who speak excellent English, who have never lived outside of Russia, or who have outside of the ex-Soviet Union? So I can only name a couple.
Well, I mean, the thing is that you wouldn't really know about that unless these people actually, like, you know, move to another country and then they immediately start speaking. Because, you know, for example, you can talk to a person having absolutely no idea what their level of English is like.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of a hard question for those who have never been to a country, like, of their target language.
Well, yeah. Well, the point is that, like you said before, you have to be fully immersed in a language to speak it to a really high level. And that's why you don't see too many people who speak excellent English, because they just don't have the opportunities to be fully immersed. And
I mean, they don't have the opportunity to show it here in Russia. Because let's say I learned the language mostly at university. That's where I got, like, let's say 70% of my level from before I even had an opportunity to go abroad.
yeah.
So it is possible to learn a language without traveling, you know, to the country of your target language.
It is, absolutely. And that's what we want to, want to show our listeners.
We have a lot of native speakers who were teachers, because I did, like, at the university, we had, you know, some Belgium guys. I mean, not really like native speakers.
They are essentially
Yeah,
native
yeah,
speakers,
yeah.
and we're going to talk
Kinda,
about
yeah.
this today because
Yeah, well, let's say French department had more
but
opportunities when it came to
Americans and some other.
that. Yeah, I think it only
nationalities,
happened
yeah.
like in our last year.
Seriously.
Yeah, in our last year at university, or like fourth year.
Whoa.
So yeah,
Because we had like every year, like, you know, some people in different countries.
yeah.
So really, it's like the French department only.
No, I mean, we started to have some visiting scholars and visiting TAs, you know, when we were in our like fourth year, fifth year.
Seriously.
So yeah, the first
Whoa.
3 years
That's so
were not
interesting.
like that.
Did you
Wow.
say your Belgian teacher taught you French, or was it English?
Oh, it was English.
Exactly. So today we're going to talk about films and how films can help us learn English. So if you notice, if you go to Belgium or the Netherlands, because they're very similar countries, you will notice that their TV shows all have Dutch or French subtitles, and they watch everything in
They never
English.
dubbed.
Exactly.
Never.
They're never
Yeah.
dubbed. They have no voiceovers. Whereas here in Russia, all the films are voiced over, which I would say deprives people of the opportunity to immerse themselves in the language. So that's why, like, I wasn't surprised the Belgian guy was teaching you English, because they are essentially native English speakers, the Dutch. I mean, I tried to learn Dutch a long time ago.
Oh God.
And
Why?
I know, a good question.
It's Benjamin.
What?
Yeah, good question.
7 languages are
Well, basic level, but this,
nevertheless.
well, it's fun. It's like a hobby, basically. It's a hobby for me. But I tried to learn Dutch a while ago because I went to the Netherlands on holiday every year because I like to ride my bicycle. Well, I like to ride bicycles, and yes, I like to ride my bicycle. And I felt it was kind of silly to keep going to this country and not speak any of the language. And every time I went there, I would notice, of course, they speak excellent English, and I tried to practice my Dutch, and they said, "Oh, come on, let's just speak English."
Oh, that's the worst.
It's
you know?
terrible, yeah. Because whereas in China, where you definitely notice they don't really speak much English at all there.
You don't have choice.
So you have that practice. Yeah, you're forced to practice. Vietnam, you were in Vietnam.
Yeah, they don't speak
Yeah,
in their everyday life, so you need to learn the language somehow.
yeah. Vietnamese is not exactly an easy language.
I spent 4.5 years there. I only know a couple of phrases. That's it. So
Is it because of the tones or because
tones,
of what?
that's all about intonation, the tonation, and everything. So
It's like Thai as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
so it's kind of difficult.
And also Vietnamese, I guess there are less resources for basic learners. Whereas Russian and definitely, of course, English, there are so many resources out there to learn the basics.
Yeah.
But I guess you only have like probably one little textbook or 2 textbooks.
That's it. I remember they tried to teach us the alphabet and the way you need to pronounce the alphabet. It took like 4 months.
Oh.
So yeah, so it's a mixture of Latin alphabet and kind of all the umlauts of all the
yes,
letters.
Because it was a colony.
Yeah, kind of the French, Latin, kind of different pronunciations. So it was hard.
Tones.
It was hard, like 4 months for just an alphabet.
And also there isn't much, I guess of course there are Vietnamese TV shows, not that I know of any, but they don't produce too much.
They have, but as you said before, they don't use any kind of subtitles or dubbed anything.
This is the problem of Russian as well. Like Russian, there are so many cool Russian TV shows.
But you don't understand if you don't know Russian or Vietnamese. Yeah,
no subtitles for any language, so which is a problem.
Yeah. I was trying to watch Brigada, which I think most of our listeners might know this, but it's a crime. Obviously, for Ugur, it's a crime. It's like a gangster. Would you say it's a gangster kind of?
Yeah, some sort of
TV series, and even though my Russian's pretty good, I still couldn't understand a word they were saying in the film because they were using blatnoy jargon, which is like gangster language, and I was trying to look for good English subtitles. I just could not find any.
Which is the problem with some of the TV shows, movies. So we have to have more subtitles.
Subtitle. And guys, when you're watching films, don't be ashamed to watch films with subtitles. The subtitles are there to help you.
Of course.
So, and a lot of people say, I want to watch this film without subtitles, and they're at a B1 level. Don't worry, it's okay. It's fine to watch films.
Yeah, they're going to get embarrassed because of that.
But what sort of shaming is that? You know, there's some people say, you still watch TV shows with subtitles, but you're C2. Shut up.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But what I've actually started doing is I watch some English TV shows with Russian subtitles.
Ooh.
I've actually started finding that to be even more useful than the other way around because I watched, Dave Chappelle. He's a famous comedian in America. And I was watching him on Netflix, I think 2 weeks ago. And I just turned on the Russian subtitles and I thought, actually, this is really useful. Like I'm thinking, how would I say that in Russian? And it just appears the bottom of the screen. So if you guys have the opportunity to find Russian films, turn on the English subtitles. And
there aren't many films with English subtitles though, unfortunately. Just the classics.
Yeah, you're right.
It's still possible. Yeah, still possible.
Yeah. So all right, so let's come on to genres of movies and which genres are
movies and TV shows.
Well, movies and TV shows, but which genres are appropriate for different levels. So I would say to start with, comedy.
Absolutely.
It's the hardest.
Sitcoms are the best.
Easy. Yeah.
For like beginners, to start with, because usually sitcoms are, about life situations or comedies, they're about life. So real language, all of that, just perfect. Yeah. And then you see the situations, it's kind of easier to understand.
And also they are using punchlines as a kind of brief sentences so they can get it easily. Yeah.
Whereas stand-up comedy, I would say I would not watch stand-up comedy until you're at
C1 probably.
C1 above.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's because they use a lot of cultural references. So I tried to watch, Gorodok, that funny TV show.
Yeah.
I couldn't really understand a lot of it because they have a lot of cultural references that I would not really know
also
about.
It's pretty old. It's like 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So but for stand-up comedy, it's absolutely like C1 preferably. Because I mean, okay, I'm watching stand-up comedy, from time to time, but even though I have lived in the US, I'm familiar with the culture. Sometimes there are cultural references to the past or, to some famous shows and everything that I do not get. Yeah. So I have to Google, the names and everything.
But it's fun too, you learn something new.
Well, obviously, but just don't go in there if you're like intermediate or beginner.
It's going to demoralize you.
Absolutely.
But you said sitcoms. So let's recommend some sitcoms for, let's say, intermediate levels. So Friends for sure.
Yeah. Everybody
I don't really understand all the fuss about Friends. Yeah, I have to be honest.
Nothing special. I don't know.
Oh my God. Have you seen the videos where Zoomers, like kids who are now like 18, 19, they watch Friends for the first time in their life and they cringe all the time. They're like, oh my God, this is the the most sexist TV show.
Oh, is it?
Most inappropriate jokes. So when you watch Friends, you have to keep in mind that was in the 90s. You can't say that anymore. That was in the 90s, or like you can't say that anymore. So try to find something more modern. I usually advise a cartoon series, actually, which is We Bare Bears. What I love about that is that it's really, I mean, every episode is 10, 11 minutes. It's about situations in life. Of course, it's about three bears who live in San Francisco, but still. So let's say how they start working in an Uber, or how they go to, like a supermarket, something like Whole Foods with all organic food, and they are denied a plastic bag. So these are very life-related situations very often. So how they are evicted of their house. So 10, 11 minutes, I think it's amazing. Like you don't get tired, from watching it.
Yeah. And would you advise adults who are at an intermediate level to watch little kids shows?
Yeah, it's fun, I think.
I think it's a great idea because a lot of people know more advanced words, but they don't know how to say basic words about movement and...
Yeah, I remember I was on the second year of education, and I watched some kind of a series, like it was Friends, I think, probably.
Yeah.
And there were some words, like really simple, basic words, and I didn't know them because we learned, like different tropes and stuff like that, like metaphor, I don't know, euphemism, something like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know like some basic words.
Yeah.
It was like kind of embarrassing,
Exactly. When I first came here, I knew some complicated words in Russian, but I didn't know some basic things.
Exactly.
And I had a group of little kids to teach, and I had to think how to tell them, don't pick your nose. And I looked, what is it? Nikovirat v nosu. And like, I just didn't know that before I came here. And you have to watch kids shows or like little things like that
why not?
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you're just reading the news or just reading journalistic style pieces, you're not going to learn these basic words. Yeah. Exactly. All right, so what other genres do you recommend for intermediate learners of English?
Romantic comedies, maybe?
Yeah,
Rom-coms are good, for
Chick
learning.
flicks, maybe?
Yeah.
Chick flicks,
Chick flick. What the hell is chick flick?
It's kind of more female-oriented films that they can express their feelings more than the man.
No, come on. I don't...
Can you give an example?
Chick flick.
I mean, like, is it different from a rom-com?
Rom-coms... I mean, I'm going to sound a bit sexist here. They are more for women. Sorry, guys. I'm a little bit...
Okay. I didn't say that. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I've never heard the term chick flick.
So chick flick, it is actually quite a big... it's like a genre in and of itself. So, God, I had some examples. I forgot. Okay, never mind. So just films, maybe I do have a secret chick flick that I actually liked, which was really funny. Mean Girls.
Yeah, I was about to say
Mean Girls. That was a funny
Girls
film.
as well, yeah.
That was a funny film.
Yeah, classics.
So yeah.
Mean
Girls, well, just for our listeners who don't know it takes place in an American high school, and it's about girls gossiping about boys and other stuff like that.
You can also just put Gossip Girl as a TV series as a chick flick.
Oh yeah, and of course the TV series Sex and the City.
Sex and the City,
got
Gossip Girl.
it. Okay, got it.
Yes,
Now
that's a chick flick genre. Like,
because it's not just
specifically
got
for
it.
girls.
Yeah, it's more for women.
Yeah, the guys wouldn't probably watch it.
Yeah.
I've never seen.
Okay, yeah.
I did once,
me
and
neither,
I didn't
but
understand really what they are talking about. What's the point of the show? So that was kind of
Okay, I got it. Oh, that's a good one.
Well, so have you seen that series, or have you started watching that Sex and the City?
Yeah, I just saw one episode maybe, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I don't know, it's boring, and at the same time, it's kind of... It's also,
just not your thing. Just not your thing.
Yeah, it's also sexist, but like on the opposite way around, It's like the girls only need, things and boys and speak about, I don't know, stuff like that. But I mean, it's not true. Girls don't only speak about these things. Yeah, I mean, come on.
Oh, really?
Wow, designated sexist today.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in general,
Yeah.
if we talk about genres, I think that intermediate students are they have more variety now. They have more freedom. And then when you're in advanced level, you can watch whatever you want. But then again, sometimes there are TV shows, let's say, what is it? MD House, The Big Bang Theory. You kind of understand the plot, but then there are so many terms. And people are like, oh, I don't understand what they're saying. I'm like, look, do you understand this stuff in Russian? Because I for sure don't understand, like theoretical physics stuff in Russian. So I just ignore this part, whatever language I watch the TV show in.
Just enjoy, right?
Exactly.
You can
Exactly.
understand from the context, basically.
Now, of course, English having so many dialects, there are going to be some dialects that you just do not understand.
God, Scottish.
Exactly.
Scottish, Irish, yeah. So it's okay. I mean, in America, well, the funny thing is for English people, of course we can understand Scottish people mostly and Irish people, but Americans can't understand Scots at all.
I've seen an interview with James McAvoy, who's a Scottish, and you remember he played an X-Men, like Magneto, I think. And the director of the show, he told him to speak with an American accent even outside of the,
Set.
Yeah, even offset. And he was like, oh, you worry that I won't be as good with my American accent while acting? He's like, no, James, I just have no idea what you're saying when you're speaking with your Scottish accent.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The funniest thing is that it's actually easier for Americans to imitate British accents, whereas it's much harder for British people to do
I can't imitate an American accent,
It's
to be honest.
difficult.
I can't.
It's difficult. The English accent's easier to imitate because I guess it's stiffer and it's easier to make a stiff mouth.
Rather than saying all the R's.
Yeah. Whereas the American
That's
accent has a much looser mouth and it's kind of hard to make your mouth loose once.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so it's really funny how Americans can't understand Scots, but Scots can completely understand Americans, mainly because, coming back to the subject of immersion, in England and Scotland, we're completely immersed with American TV.
Of course.
Yeah, whereas in Scotland, they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. And English, British English, American English, they're almost two different languages in a way. You actually have translators who specialize in translating.
And you know what?
Yeah.
And you know what?
Yeah.
So I spent all 5 years at university, we were taught British English, the RP and everything.
Yeah.
And I still cherish that moment. I'll remember it forever when people in London thought I was a local.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Good old days. Anywho.
Brilliant.
So I came to the US and I understood immediately that I have to, learn some words over there when I asked, for an aubergine. And then,
Yeah.
in a supermarket, they're like, the what?
Eggplant.
So, and the thing is that I was having conversation, I was using some words and people like, oh, what? Like, what is it? Oh, honey, it's a different word. You made a mistake. And I was like, oh, damn, still don't know a lot of words. Only to realize after, a year that I did not make a mistake. That was just a British word.
Yeah.
So I was really mad.
And by the way, for people sitting IELTS exams, well, I don't think you can do an IELTS exam anymore.
I can do in Kazakhstan.
But in Kazakhstan, if you do an IELTS exam, you have to choose one. You can only do American English or British English.
Can you imagine how annoying that is? Because, for example, I am now a mix of different words from British and American language, American English. I do not tell them apart.
Yeah.
I do not remember where I picked up this word from.
Exactly.
I just picked it up.
And even in England, we use American words in our daily life.
Yeah.
For instance, do you know the word ballpark? So we hit it out of the ballpark. Or there's a
I've heard it,
ballpark
but-
figure. That's a ballpark figure. That's an American word. It comes from baseball.
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 And
yeah,
we
of course.
use this
That's right.
even in England as well. Or we could even say the word couch, which is like a more American word for sofa.
Oh.
And yeah.
But yeah, there are so many differences though in little words. Like trunk, what would you call a trunk?
Boot. Yeah. Hood
Yeah.
is the bonnet.
The
Petrol, gas.
Yeah.
So
like
many things.
trash can.
Yeah.
Bin.
When I worked in a hotel in Las Vegas, I asked people for what's your surname? And they said, what do you mean surname?
Last
Yeah.
And it's last name. And, and it was
Or
really
like, what's your major? What's my what?
Yeah.
Actually, guys, what do you teach more? Like, okay, if we speak about this example, surname, last name. So in some students' book, there still is like surname. For example, in Power, take that.
Yeah.
So what do you teach more?
That's a really good question, actually. I actually, even though I would actually say American English probably is better to it's better to introduce to learners of English.
Same.
Spelling, well, my computer's British English, so whenever I mark homework or do something like that, it will be British. But American English is more accessible. Not because it's easier. It's not
much more people speak it.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. Much more people understand it through popular culture. Yeah. Anyway, would you guys say that you are a fiction person or a non-fiction person?
Fiction.
Fiction? I'm 110% non-fiction.
Non-fiction.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Girl,
Okay. All right.
That's so interesting. Why boys are non-fiction, girls are fiction?
No, I'm just, I'm escaping from reality through fiction.
Kind of the same.
Not only am I a fiction person, I'm a fantasy genre person.
Science fiction too.
No, I love
sci-fi.
documentaries.
Yeah, documentaries all the way. Or it doesn't.
God.
Sometimes I like a little bit of fantasy in non-fiction. Or I don't know. For some reason, I really like James Bond because even though that is fantasy, it is fantasy, but
it's real as well.
I can kind of picture it in my daily life. Whereas Lord of the Rings, get out of here! I can't stand that.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah.
That's
So
Lord of the
non-fiction.
Rings is okay.
Yeah, a lot of
guess.
people actually.
that's
Maybe it's just
okay.
me, but I hate Lord of the Rings.
seriously.
Yeah.
Well, it was really nice knowing you, Benjamin. Have a good life.
Yeah, goodbye.
The elves creep me out, and the talking trees. Get out of here! I don't want.
So wait, why?
You can imagine, it's your imagination working, It's like
So, okay, what is it in documentaries for you?
Well, let's bring it back to learning languages. So, for instance, for learning languages, I'd much rather watch reality TV
Fair
than
enough.
fantasy TV. So, and also in reality TV, this is a gold mine for dialogue.
Okay, for the sake of learning
For the
languages.
sake of learning languages.
With this goal in mind, absolutely, yeah.
So, for instance, I watch Беременна в 16, Pregnant at 16. Brilliant show, amazing show. I would never.
When we talk about non-fiction, we talk about that as well.
That's non-fiction. It is kind of non-fiction, I guess. Reality TV.
Reality.
But at the same time, it depends on what exactly you watch or read. Let's say, because I was reading a book about trees, and I'm not sure I'm going to use the word like fungi or larvae in my life.
Well, that's another point, because if you want to get to a C1 or above level, you need to know words like this, because
also true.
You will never know when this will come your way.
Yeah.
It's
Somebody will say this word to you and you won't understand.
Exactly. So if you only want to get to like a B2 level or like a B1 plus level, then it's okay. You don't need to learn fungi, or you don't need to learn ballpark figure or nonsense like that. But C1 plus, it definitely, it depends what level you want to get to, really.
And I guess the genre, when we talk about the genres, it all depends on what your goal is. Like to learn the words, or, to get some new information.
Have fun.
Non-fiction it is. Just to have some sort of extensive watching to get used to the accent, maybe. It can be anything. I mean, look, when I was training my accent, I would turn on an episode of Doctor Who and just watch it and then turn out the subtitles, read it together with the character, trying to mimic their intonation.
Yeah, it's a good idea to parrot people. And
That's what I'm doing now with one of the TV shows as well, just, for fun.
Yeah.
It actually became a habit. I got used to that. I can't stop doing that, which is a problem.
No, it's a good idea to make fun of people's accents, and that way you can actually kind of copy it in a way. or can you do a funny British accent?
I don't think so, but one of the lines from the Doctor Who, I remember he was saying surrender in a very funny way. Surrender.
Oh my God. Speaking of Doctor Who, I have to share. Well, I'm waving my nerd flag, with pride. Anywho, so in the latest season, Doctor had a new companion. So, and the name of the actor who played him was, I think it's John Bishop, who happens to be from Liverpool. So when I was watching his, an interview with him or something, and he's like, the BBC accused him of leaking, the information that his character is going to be from Liverpool. And he's like, listen to me. I have the thickest Liverpool accent that can possibly, there can possibly be. And when I was listening to him, he's like, I would expect something like, I'm a new companion for Doctor Who. Instead I heard, I'm a new companion for Doctor Who.
Oh.
You actually did it.
Was it a Scousey?
Yeah, Scouse accent, a Liverpudlian accent. Yes. Yeah. To be honest.
Very entertaining.
I don't, that accent, I'm sorry. I know I sound horrible here, but it makes me laugh so much.
Oh, trust me, I've got into a lot of bad situations when I was making fun of Scottish accents, so I understand.
Well, yeah, they get very sensitive about it, but it's really funny when they do English accents. It makes me laugh a lot. There's this famous comedian called Frankie Boyle, and he's a very dark Scottish comedian, and it's really funny when he imitates English people.
You know what I have to say about accent, though? We, as non-native speakers, have the freedom to choose whatever accent we want.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, you guys practically are natives. You're basically
But I mean, when we are learning, it's whatever you prefer. You want to switch to American, you can have classes and switch to that. Nobody's going to say a thing. For example, if you suddenly switch to American accent, I'm pretty sure your family friends are just going to mock you. Make fun of you.
If I went on holiday somewhere and I come back with a Russian accent.
Oh, God.
So that's why whenever students tell me like, I want to work in my accent, I don't want to sound like a Russian, I always say, but why?
Yes, yes.
Accent is part of who you are. And then, why choose one? Like, you can speak with whatever accent you want, as long as you don't make mistakes, and get confused or misunderstood. Like,
absolutely.
you have this freedom, enjoy it.
There's this whole industry of accent reduction in Russia, and I just don't see why people should buy into it. The most important thing is that you speak correctly, you stress the words correctly. So, for instance, let's say, let's just give an example of a word that you need to stress correctly. Read and read, or live and live. You don't want to say I live in England.
Or, for example, we have this problem with the th sound. So mouse, mouth. So everybody makes this mistake. So it's kind of confuses people a bit, maybe.
Occasionally, not occasionally, quite often it does. That's the most important thing. But you can still speak beautiful English with a heavy Russian accent, and it still sounds really cool.
I always give an example when people are like, well, what if I speak with a Russian accent? Like, people are gonna laugh.
I get this a lot.
While I was in the US, I got to meet and got to work with a lot of professors from different universities, including Yale, MIT, Harvard. And for example, I personally know a professor from Yale who teaches Russian. She has a PhD. Really respected professor with a very thick Russian accent. Does that make her any less respectable?
No, absolutely.
Hell no.
Yeah. If anything, it's more respectable, because if you can use very complicated words and still keep your accent, it actually makes you sound even more intelligent than
more authentic.
Whereas if you have like kind of plastic surgery to your accent, it's kind of like,
comparison,
it's like you were born in the country. You should know these words. If you see what I mean. So whatever you think of him, Sergei Lavrov, the foreign minister, his English is impeccable.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing, which is why he's been the foreign minister for so long. And even though he still has a heavy Russian accent, it's amazing listening to him in interviews, because he doesn't use basic words. He uses very complicated words. He understands idioms and it sounds great. And it's,
Yeah, but I still remember we had a teacher of French at the university.
Yeah.
And she had like really, really heavy accent in French.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
That's like, and I mean, most of us were already speaking with better accent than her, like in the second year,
Yeah.
So, and we were kind of making fun of her, it's like, alors, something like that.
The French accent is probably one of the coolest accents in English.
No. She was speaking French with Russian accent.
Oh, okay. That's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
My favorite combination is Chinese with Italian. I remember when I was in Italy, I heard a lot of Chinese people speak good Italian, but it was quite interesting to hear.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So, guys, you don't need to get rid of your accent. You can keep your accent. Just focus on speaking correctly. Own it. Exactly. Just focus on expanding your vocabulary and, of course, making your grammar as tight as possible. All right. Well, what would you say? Let's move on to British TV versus American TV. What would you say are the main differences between British humor and American humor in TV? Have you noticed any major differences in the modern day? Or was it only a few decades ago that you would notice the differences?
British humor is more straightforward than American, I guess. American humor is kind of dark, hidden, and you need to just figure out.
I'd say the opposite.
Yeah,
I would say the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say British humor can be, well, maybe not so much now in modern days, but it's very
used to be,
dark.
yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
darker, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of Americans don't understand
You can
it.
go out if you like.
Yeah. But then again, some Americans have funny dark humor. So for instance, like I said before, Dave Chappelle, he has hilariously dark humor.
I think
Stand-up
nowadays,
comedy,
with the
TV shows.
globalization and all that stuff,
Yeah,
it's kind of like erasing
Yeah.
the difference.
Yeah, it is. It's
And, if you think about some of the movies, like, high budget movies, really popular ones, they're no longer American movie or British movie. It's a combination.
Yeah.
Or let's say, think about a TV show, Black Mirror.
Hmm.
Like, it's
Oh.
Was that
American,
international in a
Canadian,
way, yeah?
and British.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, speaking
kind
of
of more
dark
difficult.
humor, have you seen The Boys?
oh, God.
Oh God!
The boys you said.
Boys.
Actually, no.
Oh my
You've
God.
seen
It's the third season came out yesterday,
Yes,
actually.
I just watched the first episode.
So,
so
The
good.
Boys
American-
is based.
Yeah.
It's American, yeah. It's so
It is
dark.
American. It's
Yes, it is.
It is American, and it's really dark humor. It's
so
based on the
good.
idea of
So we have
superheroes being commercialized. So they
Yeah.
do stuff for money.
So they
So-
save people for money. They're like pop stars, basically.
But there is one character over there who's British, and
I
it
love
shows.
him so much. Oh, he's the best.
It's very gory though. Like there's so much blood.
Oh, yeah. But
Oh,
then,
by the way, gory, great word for our listeners. Violent, horror. Yeah, gory, definitely use that. Yep.
So
yeah.
and very explicit too.
Oh, how would you explain explicit to our audience? That's a great word.
I would say explicit with a lot of like sexual scene.
Obscene.
Yeah,
Obscene.
obscene. Yeah, obscene.
So, and basically, The Boys is gory and explicit in a nutshell. Like these are the two words that describe it.
This is why Kat is C1, because she says, in a nutshell, gory, explicit. Okay. All right, so guys, you got some work to do. You have to immerse yourself in TV and films to get that kind of level.
Or
Yeah,
in lessons with us.
or in lessons with us. So
Also the way.
visit Big Apple School website for more information.
But the point is that nowadays it's no longer just a British thing or an American thing. It's a universal thing. Like I would say that there is no difference anymore. Sometimes, the humor might be a little bit different, but then you can't really explain what it is. Like you just feel it like, oh, it's different.
Yeah, just the cultural differences
Yeah.
in terms of, well, for instance, if you go, coming back to stand-up comedy, if you watch a British stand-up comedy show, you'd have to know everything about life in England, for instance. Do you know what it would mean if I said you should have gone to Specsavers? What does that mean? You should have gone to
No
Specsavers.
idea.
So,
Yeah, you have to live in England to understand what that means, because Specsavers is a chain of opticians. It's like it's a shop. It's a chain of opticians, and they have a TV advert in the UK which says which makes fun of people who can't see things properly. And and when they can't see, the advert says at the end, you should have gone to Specsavers and bought glasses. And I remember there was a comedian who made a joke about this, and how would you understand that unless you lived in the country?
Exactly.
So, or another thing, nectar points. You should have got your nectar points. What is that?
the juice shop or something?
Well, yeah, nectar's obviously
makes
juice,
sense, yeah.
but nectar points is the was it the points cards that you get at Sainsbury's, which is a big supermarket in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah,
So it's
so-
like equivalent to the brownies points in America? Or no?
brownie points are because I guess brownies were the girls who would go around selling.
Yeah, it's from the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts thing.
Yeah, and
So yeah, it is all the cultural stuff
Yeah,
that
so
makes
those-
it kind of different.
yeah, that's what makes it different, but well, the two different from each other. But other than that, I guess
Yeah.
you're right. The humor is kind of the same nowadays because you have some dark people, you have some not so dark people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Whereas in the past, I definitely would say that English humor used to be darker.
Yeah.
People did not understand Monty Python when it came out because it
I
was
never watched it.
it's funny,
actually.
but a lot
Life
of
of
Americans
Brian,
didn't understand it. Yeah,
Actually, I
Graham,
have a
yeah.
friend, and surprisingly, he recommended me Monty Python.
yeah,
You know, and he was like, "Oh, it's so funny." I
yeah.
was like, "Okay, I never heard of it." Okay, I have heard of it. but,
Yeah.
I mean,
It was really controversial. Well, the Life of Brian, you
Life of
said.
Brian.
Yeah, it was
that
controversial when
Mhm.
it came out because obviously people used to be much more
Life of
religious. The Life of Brian. So basically, it's about
mocking
the life.
Christianity.
It's
in a way.
mocking. It's mocking.
Ah.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, and it is a funny film.
yeah,
but
that's
but
funny
it's
also. Yeah, so the British people,
yeah,
they're more about kind of making fun of the church or stuff
Yeah.
like that. Whereas in the USA, there's still some kind of respect to that.
Yeah. hmm
I think.
Well,
Maybe
d-
not,
maybe
Katya.
not so
What do
much
you think?
these days, but
Maybe
but
not.
No, I'm
yeah, but
trying
they
to,
used
because I remember some of the stand-up comedy shows that I've watched, and I'm desperately trying to remember the name of the comedian who's really, who's really successful in Britain, but in America they're like, no, that
Ricky
is
Gervais.
Jimmy Carr.
Jimmy Carr.
Carr.
Oh, Jimmy Carr.
God.
He got in trouble recently. He made
A lot of
He-
them got in trouble.
he
He's
got in
really
big trouble. He
extreme.
made a I'm not gonna lie, it is funny, but it is.
He is, but he's like,
It's one of those
Next
moments
level
when you
dark.
it's one of those things that you watch and you're laughing, and then you say like, I shouldn't be laughing at that, but then you are.
It's-
the guilty laugh.
No, recently he got in big trouble. I think it was almost like a career-ending joke. Do you know what joke this was? I'm probably not gonna. I'm just not gonna say
Yeah,
it.
come
on
on.
here,
no. I think it better be safe.
but- yeah. So basically it's about the Holocaust, and we're not going
God.
to.
Jimmy Carr jokes
Yeah.
about things
Yeah.
you shouldn't
About
really be
everything
joking about.
this-
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I mean, some people. I mean, like myself, like a bit of dark humor, but some people don't.
That's
So
okay.
it's okay to it's whatever floats your boat, which is a great idiom to know. Whatever floats your boat means whatever you prefer, essentially. So yeah, we were talking about differences between British and American comedy. I guess they have kind of melted in together.
One of the biggest examples is the Peter Sellers.
Oh yes,
or the
Peter Sellers.
blending of American and British comedy, the Pink Panther.
Yes, that's a great example.
Yeah, Inspector Clouseau. That character is kind of
He was great. Yeah, the Pink Panther. Yeah. Wait, what? When did he die? He died a while back, didn't he? Peter Sellers.
I guess it was around 90s or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
something like that.
He was-
90s.
Yeah.
The Party, the Pink Panther, and Being There. Or
Being There. Yes, I remember that film. That was a great
that
film.
was a great film, yeah.
About the president and the gardener.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. The life of the gardener and all the dullness and everything.
Yes. Classic film. Moving on. Platforms. Which platforms could you recommend to our listeners to
Depends on
access?
how you feel about pirating.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm using a platform which I pay for, but you can watch like all the TV shows, a lot of movies that come out, and they came out recently. And actually, as they come out, they are uploaded to the platform. And technically, it's not really legal to upload all these, movies and TV shows over there, but they position themselves as an English learning platform.
Oh, interesting.
Thus, they're not really breaking any laws because they are not doing and uploading the videos for people to download. They're
Serving
doing
a
that
purpose. Yeah.
for them to learn English.
Okay.
So and it's
It's
called
legit.
yeah. I mean, it's Ororo. So
How's that spelled?
ORORO.tv.
Okay, interesting.
And it's like €5 per month. So it's really affordable,
Okay, that's interesting.
Or
Never
like
heard of
write
that
it
one.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ororo.
Aurora, yeah.
I mean, like whatever comes out, it's there the very same day.
Yeah.
Because let's say I used to be a Netflix user, but you can't use Netflix anymore.
.tv, right?
.tv.
Well, you can use Netflix with a VPN, or is it not legal to watch Netflix here?
I'm having troubles with Netflix for a couple of days, like.
And then you can't pay for
really?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you can't pay for it if you're here.
If you have a Russian card, you can't pay for it. So
Fair
you're
enough.
kind of limited with options these days.
Yeah.
But
You still have YouTube. Well, YouTube is still here, so at least
Yeah,
YouTube.
at
I
least
mean,
for now.
But I mean, YouTube, you can't just, type in like Doctor Who season 13, episode 15, on YouTube.
yeah, for TV seasons, you're right. You don't have too
So
many.
it's like stand up. Yes.
But for non-fiction, for reality, it's a gold
That-
mine.
Yeah.
Well, they don't upload everything
It's
though, because I
true.
was trying to watch, okay, don't laugh at me, but my 600-pound life.
Oh, is that like really heavy
I didn't know
person?
that.
Yeah.
Doctor
Yeah.
Who.
So
Is
it's
it-
about people who weigh about like 600 pounds, which is like 300 kilograms, and their life and
Fascinating.
how they
Dr.
try to get
Kerokin or something. What was the name of the doctor?
the what?
The Dr. Kerokin. Or
Yeah,
the-
something. Yeah, it
That
kind of
guy,
rings a bell.
right?
Yeah,
Is it the
yeah.
little guy with glasses?
Oh, absolutely,
yeah.
So, and it's about people who try to get the surgery of the stomach
Bariatric
reduction
surgery,
and
yeah.
everything.
I'm gonna watch that when I get home.
That's quite interesting.
That's interesting because you
Yeah.
kind of watch how people got to this stage when they started to weigh, 600 pounds.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows the problem with the food system in America as well. It's kind of like, it's about people, but at the same time, it's about a bigger problem.
Oh, yeah.
So I sometimes watch
No
it.
pun intended, I guess. A bigger.
Yeah, I didn't defect by myself. Sorry for that.
But I would imagine that show is a is a gold mine for learning English because you have a lot of dialogue. Whereas films, you have many minutes of just silence and music.
Well, the
and-
thing is that movies as well, they are how many cuts they can have, like no idea. But let's say in videos, TV shows too, like they're great, but still, it's not real speech sometimes. But let's say YouTube, people, or let's say interviews. I find interviews amazing for that. Because you show people, an interview. For example, I recently showed my students an interview with Chris Evans.
Oh yes,
A
yeah.
typical American accent, but he was speaking, then changing his mind, then he was saying this and then that and this. And they were like, what? Like, this is real speech.
Exactly.
It's, pauses and everything.
It's not
So
rehearsed. It's just
exactly. So interviews are also a great thing. YouTube is helpful with that because it has all of the episodes of like Jimmy Fallon talk show, Graham Norton show.
Graham
love
Norton,
him.
yeah, that's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
Love
I like
him.
it. I like
Graham Norton show also would be quite hard for people to understand as well because who are not from the UK because they have many little cultural references as well. But I
But at
guess
the
you
same
can
time,
still.
they have a lot of American
Guests,
It's
Yeah.
true. It's true. They do actually. Yeah. So you guys, you have no excuse. You have YouTube there. You have no more Netflix, I guess.
Yeah.
But what other English language platforms would you recommend? I would just say, to
YouTube,
be honest,
I guess.
YouTube's
YouTube is the
enough.
best.
Probably,
Yeah,
yeah.
YouTube is the
Yeah.
best.
I know this is not new information for most of you guys unless you're 90 years old.
There is
and-
YouTube. Wow. Okay.
so yeah, it's not groundbreaking. TikTok, great suggestion.
Instagram.
Well, yeah, well, definitely,
You
yeah.
have no idea. I mean, look, you may learn so much from Instagram as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you
Yeah,
start watching reels, for example, let's say there is a common situation when people, let's say my students, when they want to say about money, they're like, oh, can you send money to my card? I'm like, you may say, can you top up my card?
Yes.
Where did I learn that from initially?
Yeah.
Instagram.
Absolutely. So guys, to wrap it up, you need to be immersed in the language in order to learn the language to a really high level. Do not be upset with yourself if you've been learning, or if you've been trying to improve your English for 6 months and you don't see much progress.
Oh yeah, I have such students,
Yeah.
you know, especially elementary students, and
Yeah.
they learn for 1 month.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, I don't see the progress.
Yeah.
Elementary
Wait there.
students. Yeah.
Yeah.
Life hack.
You don't understand yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I kind of wish I had done sooner. But now when I start having classes with some new students, I record them. 6 months in, they're like, I don't really feel something. Like, have I made like much progress?
That's a great idea.
I show them the video. They're like,
Yes.
oh my God, that
Yes.
was me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, exactly. You didn't
I do
know,
that
like, let's say
too,
how
yeah.
to read, or
Yeah.
you didn't know that, and now you do.
Mm-hmm.
Or I show them, you know, some of our first chats from Zoom. I'm like, do you know these words? Like, easy. Like, why do you show them to me? Like, because these were words you did not know when we started having
Yeah.
classes.
Exactly. So it's like a flower or a tree growing. It takes it takes a bloody long time
Oh yeah.
to really to mature in your language learning.
To master.
So but you're only going to get there if you have at least an hour, 2, 3 or more hours immersed with the language every day. You have to watch TV. You
I
have
mean, look,
to
even like half an hour would help.
But
If
every
you're
day,
intimidated by the sound of 1-2 hours every day, trust me.
Yeah.
As long as you do even the minimum thing,
Yeah.
but consistently, that helps.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But as long as you do it consistently, like Katya said, you will make progress. Almost, it is
Yeah.
guaranteed. It is guaranteed. And of course, if you come to us at the Big Apple School, it is definitely going to help as well. But that's part of it. We're the
Yeah.
protein powder. Your home is your gym.
Yeah.
So come to us. Oh, actually, do you know what? We're not protein powder. We're steroids. We're going to we're gonna boost you.
Get it
We're
illegal.
gonna- So all right, so let's finish that for today. Thank you very much, guys, for participating. And we definitely recommend that you check out our social media platforms and like us on those platforms, including VK and Telegram. And also check out our website, www.bigappleschool.com, for more information about the courses we offer. And you can also find other interesting podcasts like this one on our website. So that's it. Thank you very much. See you next
See
time.
ya.
See
See
ya.
ya. Bye-bye.